My beloved child, in this very moment, I am speaking to the part of you that has carried its questions in silence. I am speaking to the place within you that has waited longer than expected, prayed without seeing immediate answers, and wondered whether anything was changing at all. There were days when you tried to remain hopeful, but there were also nights when disappointment felt heavier than faith. You watched time pass. You saw others move forward while your own life seemed unchanged. You wondered whether you had been overlooked, whether your prayers had reached me, or whether the things you once believed would happen had quietly slipped beyond your reach. I know every question you were afraid to speak aloud. I know the weariness behind your strength and the uncertainty hidden beneath the way you kept going. You did not always understand the season you were walking through, but you continued. Even when you felt discouraged, something within you refused to let go completely. Hear me clearly today. Your waiting was not wasted. The silence was not emptiness, and the delay was not abandonment. I was present in every moment that appeared uneventful. I was working in places you could not see, arranging what could not yet be revealed, and preparing you for what could not have been carried by the person you were when the waiting first began. You measured progress by what changed around you, but I was also working through what was changing within you. Lessons were being formed quietly, without applause or recognition. Patience was growing where urgency once controlled you. Endurance was developing where disappointment had made you want to stop. Wisdom was taking root through experiences you never would have chosen for yourself. The season felt slow because much of its work was hidden. But hidden work is not meaningless work. A foundation is rarely seen while it is being built, yet everything that rises afterward depends on its strength. In the same way, I was strengthening the unseen foundation of your life. I was allowing certain things to settle, mature, and become steady before placing greater weight upon them. You may have believed that nothing was happening because there was no visible evidence, but the most important preparation often begins beneath the surface. A seed does not appear active while it is covered by the earth. From the outside, the ground looks unchanged, yet beneath it, life is forming, roots are reaching deeper, and the strength required for future growth is being established. Your season of waiting has been like that. What looked still was not dead. What looked delayed was not forgotten. What looked empty was carrying more purpose than you understood. There were moments when you asked me to move quickly, but I saw what you could not see. I knew which circumstances were not ready. I knew which pieces had not yet come together. I knew what needed to be established before the next part of your journey could begin. Had everything arrived when you first requested it, you might have entered it with the same fears, habits, and limitations that once held you back. The delay was not meant to punish you. It was meant to prepare the conditions, strengthen your heart, and protect what was still developing. You saw the closed space in front of you, but I saw the entire road. You saw one unanswered question, but I saw how every part of the story needed to connect. You saw the length of the waiting, but I saw the precision of the timing. There is a difference between being denied and being prepared. There is a difference between being forgotten and being protected from arriving too soon. You could not always recognize that difference while you were living through it, because pain makes time feel longer, and uncertainty makes silence feel personal. Yet I was never distant from you. I was near when you struggled to understand. I was near when you grew tired of explaining your situation to others. I was near when you smiled in public and carried disappointment home with you. I was near when you questioned whether your efforts mattered. I was near when you felt as though you were repeating the same day without moving any closer to change. Not one of those moments escaped my attention. I saw every quiet act of faithfulness. I saw the mornings when you rose and continued despite having little emotional strength. I saw the responsibilities you carried without recognition. I saw how often you chose to keep believing, even when your feelings gave you no reason to do so. Your perseverance was not invisible to me. Every difficult day was teaching you something about strength that comfort could never have taught you. Every unanswered question was deepening your capacity to trust beyond what you could immediately understand. Every season of limitation was showing you what truly mattered and what could no longer control you. You may not yet understand why certain plans failed, why some opportunities disappeared, or why the path unfolded differently from what you expected. You may still carry questions about the people who disappointed you, the efforts that produced little visible return, and the dreams that seemed to grow quiet with time. I am not asking you to pretend those experiences did not hurt. I am not asking you to call every loss easy or every delay pleasant. I am asking you to see that pain did not have the final authority over what those experiences produced. What felt like an ending was sometimes a redirection. What felt like inactivity was often preparation. What felt like being held back was sometimes the protection of a future you were not yet able to see. You were learning how to continue without constant reassurance. You were discovering how to remain steady without having every answer. You were being prepared to recognize the difference between temporary excitement and lasting direction. The hard road was forming depth within you. It was teaching you not to build your life on feelings that change from day to day. It was showing you that true strength is not always loud, dramatic, or visible. Sometimes strength is simply choosing not to quit. Sometimes faith is waking up and taking another step when nothing around you appears different. Sometimes courage is continuing to believe that your story is still moving, even when you cannot see where that movement is happening. My child, you have reached a point where the waiting must be understood differently. Do not look back at this season and call it wasted time. Do not reduce it to a collection of disappointments. It was a place of formation. It was a season in which your roots grew deeper than your circumstances could reveal. You are not standing where you stood when this journey began. You have learned, endured, observed, and matured. You have survived moments that once seemed strong enough to overwhelm you. You have discovered that you can walk through uncertainty without losing everything. You have become more patient, more aware, and more prepared than you realize. There is a stirring within you now, a quiet sense that something is shifting, even though you may not yet have the words to explain it. Do not dismiss that feeling simply because it is gentle. The waiting has brought you to a threshold. You are standing at the edge of a chapter that could not have begun earlier because the work of preparation was not yet complete. You do not need to rush across it, and you do not need to force yourself to feel fearless. It is enough to recognize that the season behind you had a purpose and that you are no longer who you were when it began. The road has changed you. The silence has deepened you. The delay has prepared you. What once felt like proof that nothing was happening will eventually become evidence that something important was being built with care. You have not been left behind. You have not missed your moment. You have not waited for nothing. Every step, every tear, every unanswered question, and every quiet act of perseverance has brought you here. The chapter of waiting has done its work. Now you can stand at this threshold without despising the road that led you to it, because the road was not empty. I was with you through every mile, and I was preparing you all along. Now that you understand your waiting was not wasted, I want you to remember who you are beneath everything that has tried to define you. There have been moments when you quietly questioned whether you truly mattered, whether your life carried real purpose, or whether the best of who you were had already been spent. You may not have spoken these questions aloud because you learned how to appear strong, responsible, and composed. Yet beneath that strength, there were times when you wondered whether you were enough. You compared your progress to the progress of others. You noticed what they had achieved, where they seemed to be going, and how easily life appeared to open for them. Then you looked at your own path and felt as though something must be wrong with you. You questioned your timing, your abilities, and sometimes even your place in this world. Hear me clearly. You are not here by accident. I formed you with intention, and there has never been a moment when your existence was meaningless to me. The way your mind works, the depth with which you feel, the compassion you carry, the questions you ask, and the abilities you have only begun to recognize were not placed within you carelessly. I knew who I was creating. I did not make a mistake when I made you sensitive in a world that can be harsh. I did not make a mistake when I gave you a heart that notices what others overlook. I did not make a mistake when I placed gifts within you that developed slowly or required difficult seasons to become visible. You may have spent years believing that certain parts of you were weaknesses because other people did not understand them. Perhaps you were told that you cared too much, dreamed too deeply, spoke too softly, moved too slowly, or expected too much from life. Perhaps people judged you by a season in which you were struggling and treated that temporary condition as though it were your permanent identity. Their conclusions were incomplete. They saw moments. I saw the whole person. They saw what you had not yet learned. I saw what you were becoming. They measured you by performance, appearance, status, productivity, or the usefulness you could provide to them. I have never measured you that way. Your worth does not increase when people praise you, and it does not decrease when they overlook you. Your value is not determined by how much you accomplish in a day, how many people approve of your choices, or how quickly you recover from hardship. You are loved because you are mine, not because you have managed to prove yourself worthy of love. This is difficult for you to accept because much of what you received from people felt conditional. You learned that approval could be withdrawn, affection could change, and support could disappear when you no longer met someone's expectations. As a result, you began working harder to earn what should have been given freely. You tried to become easier to accept. You hid parts of yourself that seemed inconvenient. You made yourself smaller in rooms where your presence deserved space. You remained silent when you had something meaningful to say because you feared being misunderstood or rejected. You adjusted your needs, lowered your expectations, and sometimes apologized for taking up space in your own life. My child, you do not have to continue living as though your existence requires an explanation. You are not a burden to me. You are not too complicated, too damaged, too late, or too far behind. You are not disqualified because your journey has been imperfect. The things that happened to you may have influenced the way you see yourself, but they do not possess the authority to name you. The people who rejected you do not get to decide whether you are worthy of love. The people who underestimated you do not get to determine the limits of your future. The people who remembered only your failures do not get to erase everything good, faithful, and courageous within you. Their words may have remained in your mind long after they left your life. They may still rise when you attempt something new, whispering that you will fail again, that others are more capable, or that you should remain where it feels safe. Those voices have become familiar, but familiarity does not make them true. You have repeated some of them so often that they now sound like your own thoughts. Yet they did not begin with me. My voice does not humiliate you. It does not reduce you to your weakest moment or replay your failures as proof that you cannot change. My voice speaks with truth, but truth is never cruel. Truth may correct, but it does not destroy. It may reveal what must grow, but it does not deny what is already beautiful. When I look at you, I see more than what went wrong. I see the courage it took to survive what others never understood. I see the patience you developed through circumstances that did not move quickly. I see the tenderness you protected even after it was mishandled. I see the loyalty you offered, the responsibilities you carried, and the kindness you continued to show when bitterness would have been easier. I see the parts of you that no one celebrated because they were formed in private. These qualities are not small. They are evidence of a life shaped by endurance. Do not confuse visibility with value. Some of the most important things within you were built where no one was watching. You may feel that your efforts did not matter because they were not recognized. But recognition is not what gives faithfulness its worth. A quiet act of integrity still matters when no one applauds it. Compassion still matters when it is not returned. Honesty still matters when dishonesty would have been easier. Every time you chose not to become what hurt you, something strong and beautiful was preserved within you. That strength is part of who you are. You are also more than your accomplishments. There have been seasons when success made you feel confident, and seasons when setbacks caused you to question everything. But neither success nor failure tells the complete truth about you. Achievement can reveal ability, but it cannot create worth. Failure can reveal where growth is needed, but it cannot erase worth. Your identity must be rooted more deeply than changing results. Otherwise, every victory will make you feel temporarily secure, and every disappointment will make you feel as though you have lost yourself. I want you to become steady in the knowledge that your value remains constant. You do not become more precious when life goes well, and you do not become less precious when you struggle. You are still worthy of patience while you are learning. You are still worthy of kindness while you are healing. You are still worthy of hope while parts of your life remain unfinished. Do not compare your unfinished places to someone else's carefully presented image. You cannot see the full story behind another person's progress, and they cannot see the full purpose within yours. Your timing is not evidence of your worth. Moving slowly does not mean you are failing. Beginning again does not mean the previous years were meaningless. Needing time does not make you weak. Your path has required a pace suited to what was being formed within you. Another person's pace might not have produced the same depth, wisdom, or strength in your life. Stop punishing yourself for not becoming someone you were never created to be. You do not need their personality, their voice, their opportunities, or their journey to fulfill your purpose. There is no one else who carries your exact combination of experience, insight, compassion, and ability. No one else can occupy the place I shaped specifically for you. This does not mean you must be louder than others or prove that you are exceptional. It means you can stop disappearing. You can allow yourself to exist honestly, without constant comparison, and without shrinking to make others comfortable. Begin to see yourself accurately, not as greater than everyone else, but not as less than them either. Humility is not denying your gifts. It is recognizing that they were given to you for a reason. Confidence is not pretending you have no weaknesses. It is knowing that weakness does not cancel purpose. You are still learning, but you are not empty. You are still becoming, but you are not without value. You are still healing, but you are not broken beyond recognition. The original design remains within you beneath the fear, the criticism, and the roles you learned to perform. My child, let this truth settle deeply. You are loved without competition, chosen without comparison, and created without regret. You do not have to earn your place in my heart. You already have it. You do not have to prove that you deserve to be here. I intended for you to be here. You do not have to become someone else before your life can carry meaning. Meaning is already woven into who you are. The next chapter will require you to stop speaking to yourself as though you are an enemy and begin treating yourself as someone I created with care. Remember who names you. Remember whose opinion is final. You are not the names others gave you in anger, disappointment, or misunderstanding. You are not the sum of the worst decisions. You are not the season in which you lost your confidence. You are my beloved child, formed with intention, held with patience, and carrying a purpose that has not been canceled. Now that you are beginning to remember who you are, I want you to release what you were never meant to carry forever. You have held many things tightly, not because you wanted to live under pressure, but because you believed that if you loosened your grip, everything might fall apart. You learned to remain alert, responsible, and prepared for the next problem. You became the person who handled what others avoided, solved what others ignored, and carried what others left behind. There was strength in the way you survived, but survival has slowly become a way of life. The weight that once helped you endure is now preventing you from living with peace. You do not have to hold everything together by yourself anymore. Some burdens belong to other people. Some outcomes were never yours to control. Some questions cannot be answered by thinking about them one more time. Some situations cannot be repaired by giving more of yourself than you have left. You have mistaken constant concern for faithfulness and endless responsibility for love. But love does not require you to destroy yourself to prove that you care. Caring is not the same as controlling. Caring allows you to be present, compassionate, and responsible for what is truly yours. Control convinces you that everything depends on you, that you must anticipate every danger, prevent every disappointment, and manage every person's choices. That kind of pressure will drain your strength without giving you the security it promises. You were never created to carry the entire future in your mind. You were not designed to live through every possible tragedy before it happens. Yet you have spent many hours rehearsing conversations that may never occur, imagining outcomes that have not arrived, and preparing your heart for losses that may never come. You call it caution, but often it is fear trying to protect you by making you suffer in advance. My child, you do not need to keep bracing for the next hard thing. Not every day is a battle. Not every relationship will end in betrayal. Not every opportunity will disappear. Not every peaceful moment is merely the pause before another storm. You have lived in survival mode for so long that calm can feel unfamiliar, and unfamiliar peace may even make you uneasy. But peace is not carelessness. Rest is not irresponsibility. Releasing fear does not mean ignoring reality. It means refusing to let possibilities that have not happened control the life you are living now. Place tomorrow where it belongs. You cannot live it today, and you cannot secure it by worrying. Let go of the belief that anxiety makes you more prepared. It does not make you prepared. It makes you exhausted. You have also carried grief from yesterday, as though keeping it close might somehow honor what was lost. There are disappointments you have revisited so often that they have become part of your daily thoughts. You remember what should have happened, what someone should have said, and how differently life might have unfolded if one decision, one relationship, or one opportunity had gone another way. I understand why your mind returns there. Pain searches for an explanation because it believes understanding will restore what was taken. Sometimes understanding comes, but sometimes peace must arrive before every answer does. You are allowed to stop reopening a wound simply because you have not solved every question surrounding it. You are allowed to acknowledge that something hurt deeply and still decide that it will no longer occupy the center of your life. Releasing the past does not mean saying it did not matter. It does not mean approving what was wrong or pretending you were unaffected. It means accepting that the event has already happened and choosing not to let it continue happening inside you every day. Some relationships ended without the closure you wanted. Some people left without explaining themselves. Others remained but never became who you hoped they would be. You gave patience, loyalty, forgiveness, and chances, yet the outcome still caused pain. Do not interpret every ending as proof that you failed. Not every person was meant to remain for the entire journey. Some relationships completed their purpose even though the ending was painful. Some revealed what you needed to learn about boundaries, trust, and the difference between loving someone and losing yourself for them. You can appreciate what was genuine without denying what was harmful. You can remember what was beautiful without trying to rebuild what no longer belongs in your life. You can release someone and still wish them well. You can forgive without returning to the same conditions that wounded you. Forgiveness does not require the removal of wisdom. It does not ask you to make yourself vulnerable to repeated harm. It asks you to stop allowing anger, resentment, and unfinished arguments to keep controlling your inner life. There are also mistakes you continue to carry as evidence against yourself. You take them out in moments of weakness and use them to prove that you are unworthy of peace. You remember the words you wish you had not spoken, the signs you ignored, the decisions you made from fear, and the moments when you did not know what you know now. Yes, you have made mistakes, but you are not required to live forever as the person who made them. Growth means that you can look back and recognize what should have been different. That awareness is evidence that you have changed. Stop punishing your present self for choices made by a version of you who was frightened, uninformed, wounded, or simply trying to survive. Learn what the mistake came to teach you. Make whatever repairs are still possible, and then let it rest. Continually accusing yourself will not improve the past. It will only steal strength from the life still in front of you. Speak to yourself with the same patience you would offer someone you love. Correction can be honest without being cruel. Responsibility can be accepted without becoming self-hatred. You do not need to deny your failures, but you must stop treating them as your permanent identity. My child, I also see the weariness that has settled into your body. You have pushed yourself past your limits because you believed rest had to be earned. You kept going when your mind became cloudy, when your emotions wore thin, and when your body asked you to slow down. You treated exhaustion as proof of commitment and guilt as the price of stopping. But I made you with limits, and those limits are not defects. The need for sleep, stillness, nourishment, and quiet is part of your design. Rest does not take you away from your purpose. It helps restore your ability to live it. You will not become more valuable by running yourself empty. You do not have to complete every task before you are allowed to breathe. You do not have to answer every request, solve every problem, or remain available to everyone at all times. A gentler life is not a smaller life. It is a life in which your strength is used wisely rather than constantly depleted. Learn to notice when your body is asking for care. Learn to pause before resentment becomes the only sign that you have given too much. Learn to say no without writing a long defense of your decision. Boundaries are not a rejection of love. They are a way of protecting what love requires in order to remain healthy. Open your hands now. Release the outcomes you cannot command, the people you cannot change, the past you cannot rewrite, and the guilt that has already taught you what it needed to teach. Set down the fear that says everything will collapse if you stop carrying it. You may feel uncertain at first because the weight has been with you for so long that it has become familiar. But familiar does not mean necessary. Let the emptiness left behind become space for breath, peace, and healing. You are not losing yourself by releasing these burdens. You are returning to yourself. You are making room to live without constant tension, to care without controlling, to remember without remaining trapped, and to rest without shame. What you release does not have to be carried again. Let it remain where you have placed it. You have held it long enough. Now that you have begun to release the noise of fear, regret, and constant control, I want to teach you how to recognize my direction more clearly. You have often expected guidance to arrive as a complete answer, an unmistakable sign, or a detailed plan that removes every possibility of uncertainty. You have waited for a moment so dramatic that you could not question it, believing that only then would you feel safe enough to move. But much of the time, I do not lead you through overwhelming displays. I lead you quietly, one step at a time, through a peace that settles without explanation, a truth that remains steady in your heart, or a gentle conviction that continues to return even after the noise around you has faded. My voice is not always the loudest voice you hear, but it is consistent. It does not pressure you into panic, manipulate you through fear, or demand that you understand everything immediately. It brings clarity without confusion, conviction without cruelty, and direction without forcing you to become someone you were never created to be. Learning to hear me requires more than searching for signs. It requires becoming still enough to notice what has been present beneath the noise. Your mind has been crowded with other voices, the opinions of people you respect, the expectations of those you fear disappointing, the warnings created by past pain, and the endless questions you ask yourself when you are afraid of making a mistake. None of these voices are always wrong, but they cannot take the place of the deeper wisdom I am forming within you. You have sometimes asked too many people to explain what only stillness could reveal. You moved from one opinion to another, hoping someone else's certainty would remove your responsibility to trust. Yet the more voices you collected, the more confused you became. My child, there are moments when you must step away from the urgency to decide and allow your spirit to become quiet. Stillness is not inactivity. It is a posture of attention. It is the decision to stop forcing an answer long enough to recognize what remains true when anxiety is no longer speaking. Long ago, a young servant heard his name called during the night. The voice was gentle, and at first, he did not understand who was speaking. He assumed the call came from someone familiar, so he repeatedly went to the person he trusted. Eventually, he was taught to return to stillness and respond with a willing heart. Speak, for I am listening. That is the posture I am inviting you to take. You do not need to manufacture an experience. You do not need to make yourself feel something extraordinary. You simply need to become available, honest, and willing to receive direction in whatever form it comes. Listening begins when you stop demanding that the answer arrive according to your expectations. It continues when you remain open, even if the first instruction seems small. Many people miss guidance because they are waiting for a complete assignment while ignoring the simple step already placed before them. They want to know where the entire road leads before taking the first step. But faith does not require a complete map. It requires enough trust to move with the light you have. You may not see the whole staircase, but you can see the next step. When you take it, the following step will become visible at the right time. I will not always show you the entire journey because knowing everything in advance would not teach you to walk with me. It would teach you to depend only on information. I am forming a deeper confidence within you, one that does not collapse simply because every detail remains unresolved. You have sometimes mistaken uncertainty for the absence of direction. They are not the same. You can be uncertain about the outcome and still be clear about the next faithful choice. You may not know how a conversation will end, but you may know that honesty is required. You may not know what another person will decide, but you may know that a boundary must be respected. You may not know where a new path will ultimately lead, but you may recognize that remaining where you are is no longer consistent with what you have learned. Direction often appears first as a quiet awareness of what you can no longer ignore. Do not dismiss that awareness simply because it lacks drama. In an earlier time, one of my servants stood through powerful wind, shaking ground, and consuming fire, yet my voice was not found in the force of those events. It came afterward in a still, gentle sound. This is important for you to remember because the world has trained you to associate importance with volume. You assume that what is urgent must be meaningful, and that what is quiet can be postponed. But urgency is not always wisdom. Noise is not always authority. Some of the most important truths you will ever receive will come softly enough that you could miss them if you remain distracted. Pay attention to what brings steady peace, rather than temporary excitement. Pay attention to the thought that returns with clarity after emotional intensity has passed. Pay attention to the direction that agrees with truth, love, integrity, patience, and wisdom. My guidance will not require you to betray what is right in order to reach what you desire. It will not ask you to harm others, abandon compassion, or become dishonest for the sake of convenience. It may challenge you, but it will not corrupt you. It may lead you beyond what is comfortable, but it will not lead you away from what is good. Discernment grows through practice. You will not always recognize my direction perfectly at first, and I am not angry with you for needing time. You have feared making the wrong decision because you imagined that one mistake could permanently remove you from the life meant for you. That fear has caused you to remain still when movement was needed. Hear me clearly. I am not waiting for you to make one flawless choice before I agree to guide you. If you take a step with an honest heart and later discover that an adjustment is needed, I can redirect you. A wrong turn does not place you beyond my reach. You do not have to live paralyzed by the possibility of error. Wisdom is careful, but fear is immobilizing. Wisdom considers what is true, seeks trustworthy counsel when necessary, and then acts. Fear continues, demanding more reassurance even after enough light has been given. Learn to recognize the difference. There will be moments when you feel no dramatic confirmation. In those moments, return to what you already know. Do the next honest thing. Keep the promise you made. Complete the responsibility that is yours. Speak with kindness and clarity. Refuse the choice that requires you to abandon your integrity. Guidance is not limited to major life decisions. It is present in ordinary moments, in the way you respond when irritated, the way you treat someone who cannot reward you, and the way you choose truth when no one would discover a lie. Sensitivity to my voice is strengthened through daily obedience. The more faithfully you respond to quiet direction, the more readily you will recognize it. My child, stop waiting to feel completely fearless before you move. Courage does not mean the absence of trembling. It means that fear is no longer permitted to make every decision. Take the step that has become clear, even if your hands are unsteady. You do not need to prove yourself by moving quickly, and you do not need to force progress where peace is absent. Move attentively. Let each step be taken with humility, prayer, and a willingness to be corrected. You are not walking alone, and you are not being asked to see farther than the light provided for today. Listen for the quiet voice. Trust the steady peace. Test what you sense against truth and wisdom, then move with the light you have. The road will not be revealed all at once, but it will continue opening before you, one faithful step at a time. My beloved child, as you learn to recognize my direction and follow the light placed before you, I want you to understand what restoration truly means. You have often imagined restoration as the return of something exactly as it was before the same opportunity, the same relationship, the same dream, or the same version of life you once hoped to recover. But I do not always restore by taking you backward. Sometimes I return what was lost in a form you recognize. Other times, I restore by bringing something new that carries the goodness you needed without repeating the pain attached to what came before. What I am doing will not always look like a copy of the past. It may arrive differently through people you did not expect, circumstances you could not have arranged, and doors you did not know existed. Do not reject something good simply because it does not resemble the answer you imagined. You prayed from the understanding you had at the time, but I heard more than your words. I understood the deeper need beneath them. You may have asked for one specific outcome because you believed it was the only path to happiness, peace, belonging, or security. I saw the entire picture. I knew what that outcome could give you, but I also knew what it could not give you. My answer may therefore carry the heart of your prayer while arriving in a form wiser and more complete than your original request. There are prayers you stopped tracking because too much time passed without visible change. You prayed them sincerely, sometimes with confidence and sometimes with only enough strength to whisper a few words before sleep. You may have assumed that silence meant the prayer had been forgotten, yet not one honest word directed toward me was lost. Some answers required circumstances to change. Some required people to mature. Some required you to become ready to recognize what was being given. Some answers could not arrive alone because they were connected to other parts of your life that also had to be prepared. What appeared to you as one simple request was sometimes part of a much larger arrangement. You saw only the need directly in front of you, while I saw every life, decision, opportunity, and consequence connected to it. The delay did not mean inactivity. Pieces were being brought together beyond your sight, and the answer was taking shape where you could not yet observe it. When it begins to appear, you may recognize something familiar within it, like an old hope returning after you had taught yourself not to expect it. You will remember prayers you had almost forgotten, and you will understand that they were not ignored. They were being answered in the right order and in a way that could hold together. There are also dreams within you that became quiet. At one time, they filled you with energy and possibility. You imagined what your life could become, what you might create, where you might go, or how your gifts could be used. Then disappointment, responsibility, criticism, or delay caused you to place those dreams somewhere out of sight. You did not completely destroy them, but you stopped speaking about them because hope began to feel dangerous. You told yourself you were being realistic, yet a small part of you continued to remember. I know those dreams. I was present when they first began to form, and I know which ones came from temporary desire and which ones were woven into the deeper purpose of your life. The dreams that belong in your future have not died simply because they were silent for a season. Silence can preserve what exposure might have damaged too early. Hiddenness can protect what still needs time to grow. In the season ahead, some of those dreams will begin to breathe again. Ideas you had stopped considering will return with new clarity. Desires you had buried will no longer feel impossible. You will begin to see practical openings where you once saw only distance. This renewal may feel unfamiliar at first. Hope can feel fragile when disappointment has trained you to expect less. You may hesitate to take the dream seriously because you fear being hurt again, but you will not be asked to revive everything at once. Restoration can unfold gradually, allowing confidence to return as the path becomes clearer. What once seemed too large may begin with one simple opportunity, one conversation, one invitation, or one unexpected connection. Do not underestimate small beginnings. A door does not have to open dramatically to lead into an important room. There are doors you approached repeatedly and eventually stopped standing before because the silence became too heavy. You wondered whether you had misunderstood, whether the opportunity was never meant for you, or whether your time had passed. Some doors remained closed because they were not yours. Their closure redirected you away from situations that could not support the life being formed within you. But other doors were not permanently closed. They were waiting for the right time. Timing changes what an opportunity becomes. An opening that would have overwhelmed you earlier may become a place of stability now. A connection that would have been unhealthy in a previous season may become meaningful after growth has taken place. A resource that would once have been wasted may now be handled with wisdom. When the right doors begin to open, you will not need to force your way through them by pleading, manipulating, or abandoning your peace. Their opening will carry a sense of alignment. You will recognize that the path was prepared rather than manufactured. This does not mean there will be no effort, responsibility, or uncertainty. It means you will not have to create what only timing could provide. Some restoration will arrive through people. There are lives being guided toward points of connection that you could not have engineered. Long ago, I drew together people who lived in different places, carried different experiences, and did not yet understand how their paths would meet. Each received only part of the direction, but I held the complete arrangement. In the same way, there are people being prepared whose knowledge, encouragement, opportunity, or companionship will connect with something important in your journey. They may appear through ordinary circumstances, yet the timing will carry unusual precision. A conversation may answer a question you have held for years. A person may recognize a gift within you that others overlooked. A relationship may provide the safety, honesty, or mutual respect that was missing before. These connections will not need to imitate the relationships you lost. They will have their own purpose and character. Remain open to the possibility that goodness can arrive through someone unfamiliar. Past pain may tempt you to view every new person with suspicion, but not everyone is coming to repeat what happened before. Wisdom can remain present without closing your heart to every unexpected connection. I am also working in the lives of those you love. You have prayed for people whose choices you cannot control and whose pain you cannot remove. You have wanted to reach places within them that no conversation could touch. Their situations have sometimes made you feel powerless, but your inability to change them does not mean nothing is happening. I can reach beyond your words, beyond distance, resistance, and circumstances. The answers concerning those you love may not unfold according to your preferred schedule, and they may begin in ways too quiet for you to recognize immediately. Change often starts beneath the surface before it becomes visible in behavior. Continue to trust that the work is not limited to what you can personally accomplish. What you could not repair through effort may still be restored through a process you do not control. My child, what is coming is not merely the return of what was taken. It is the recovery of hope, the renewal of possibility, and the arrival of goodness in forms suited to who you have become. Some losses will be answered with healing. Some unanswered prayers will become clear through new opportunities. Some dreams will return with greater maturity. Some doors will open because their appointed time has arrived. Some people will enter your life carrying what no previous relationship could provide. You do not need to search anxiously for every sign or force each promise into existence. Let restoration reveal itself as it comes. Recognize it by its peace, its integrity, and the way its pieces fit together without requiring you to betray what you have learned. What belongs in this new season will not require you to become smaller, return to old wounds, or abandon wisdom. It will meet the person you have become and carry you into something more complete than what you once believed was possible. You have now reached the place where understanding must become movement. You have learned that the waiting was not wasted, that your identity is not defined by failure or rejection, that some burdens must be released, that my direction often comes quietly, and that restoration may arrive in forms you did not expect. Now I am calling you to carry these truths into the way you live. A new season is not sustained by a single emotional moment. It is sustained by daily choices made with courage, wisdom, patience, and trust. You do not need to feel completely different before you begin walking differently. Transformation often becomes visible through small decisions repeated faithfully over time. It appears in the way you respond when fear returns, the way you speak when frustration rises, the way you protect your peace without becoming cold, and the way you continue forward without demanding immediate proof that every step will succeed. Do not return to the patterns that once kept you trapped simply because they are familiar. Familiarity can feel safe even when it is unhealthy. You may be tempted to begin worrying again, controlling again, comparing again, or overworking again when uncertainty appears. Old habits will sometimes present themselves as protection, but you now know where they lead. Fear will tell you to prepare for disaster. Comparison will tell you that you are falling behind. Perfectionism will tell you that you must do everything flawlessly before your efforts have value. Exhaustion will tell you that stopping is weakness. Do not accept these voices simply because you have listened to them before. You have been given a new way to walk, one that is steady without being rigid, responsible without being burdened, and hopeful without being careless. The life ahead of you will require courage, but courage is not a performance. It is not loud confidence, dramatic declarations, or the absence of uncertainty. Courage is choosing what is right while part of you is still afraid. It is speaking honestly when silence would be easier. It is setting a boundary without allowing guilt to reverse your decision. It is beginning again without treating the previous attempt as proof that you cannot succeed. It is allowing yourself to hope even after disappointment taught you to expect less. You may still feel nervous when you enter unfamiliar territory, but nervousness does not mean you are unprepared. It means you are human, moving beyond what you have known. Let courage be quiet. Let it appear in your willingness to take the next faithful step. You do not need to announce every change taking place within you. There is no need to convince people that you have grown, healed, or become stronger. Let the evidence reveal itself naturally. People will notice that you no longer react to every provocation, that you do not explain yourself endlessly, and that you can remain peaceful without needing everyone to agree with you. They will see steadiness in your choices and clarity in your boundaries. Some will understand the change, while others may resist it because the older version of you was easier for them to influence. Do not become harsh toward them, but do not abandon what you have learned in order to make them comfortable. Growth will sometimes change the way certain relationships function. Allow that change to happen without bitterness. You are not rejecting people by refusing to return to unhealthy patterns. You are honoring the wisdom your journey has produced. The difficult seasons formed qualities within you that will now become useful. The endurance you developed will help you remain steady when progress is slow. The compassion born from your own pain will allow you to recognize suffering that others hide. The patience learned through delay will keep you from forcing what still needs time. The discernment gained through disappointment will help you recognize what is genuine. The boundaries learned through exhaustion will teach you how to serve without losing yourself. Nothing you endured has to remain only a painful memory. The lessons can become tools in your hands. Your experience can help you respond to others with understanding rather than judgment. You will recognize the person who feels forgotten because you know what waiting feels like. You will notice the one who doubts their worth because you have heard those questions within yourself. You will understand the person who is afraid to hope because you once protected your own heart in the same way. Your story is not only about what you survived, it is also about what you became while surviving it. The way your life continues from here can become an encouragement to people who are still standing in the middle of their own difficult chapters. You do not need a public platform or a perfect testimony to make a difference. Sometimes purpose is expressed through one honest conversation, one compassionate response, or one decision to remain kind when bitterness would be understandable. Do not underestimate the influence of a peaceful life. The world often celebrates what is visible, dramatic, and immediate, but some of the most meaningful work happens quietly. It happens when you keep your word, fulfill your responsibilities, treat people with dignity, and choose integrity when no one is watching. These ordinary decisions build a life that can be trusted. You have already practiced faithfulness in hidden places, and none of it was meaningless. Continue to value the small acts that shape your character. Do not become so focused on the future that you overlook the responsibilities and relationships already in front of you. Purpose is not always waiting in a distant opportunity. It is often present in the way you live today. Be fully present with the people you love. Listen carefully. Speak truthfully. Rest when your body asks for care. Work with attention rather than anxiety. Allow gratitude to return to the ordinary parts of your life. You spent a long time watching the horizon for storms, and that habit may cause you to miss the goodness already surrounding you. Learn to receive a peaceful day without questioning how long it will last. Learn to enjoy progress without immediately searching for what could go wrong. Learn to celebrate what is growing without comparing it to someone else's harvest. Peace becomes stronger when you practice noticing what is good now, rather than postponing contentment until every problem is solved. There will still be challenges. A new season does not mean that nothing difficult will ever happen again. It means difficulty no longer has the same authority over your mind and heart. Questions may come, but they do not have to become panic. Delays may happen, but they do not have to become proof that you have been forgotten. Disappointment may appear, but it does not have to destroy your identity. You have learned that your peace cannot depend entirely on circumstances behaving as you hoped. It must be rooted more deeply. When something unsettles you, return to what you know. Remember what the previous seasons taught you. Slow down before reacting. Listen before deciding. Ask whether fear is speaking or wisdom is guiding. Do not surrender the progress you have made because of one difficult day. Healing is not erased by a moment of weakness. Growth is not canceled because an old emotion returns. You can acknowledge what you feel without allowing it to determine your direction. Be patient with yourself as these truths become habits. You are not expected to walk perfectly. You are being invited to walk honestly. When you make a mistake, correct it without condemning yourself. When you become tired, rest before resentment takes over. When you feel uncertain, Take the next clear step instead of demanding the entire plan. When you are tempted to withdraw completely, remember that wisdom can protect your heart without closing it. Keep your gentleness, but let it be guided by discernment. Keep your generosity, but do not give from emptiness. Keep your hope, but do not attach it to only one possible outcome. Keep moving, not because you can guarantee what lies ahead, but because you now understand that remaining frozen is not the same as being safe. My child, do not give up when you are closer than you feel. The moment before change can still feel uncertain, and progress may be difficult to recognize while you are living through it. But you are no longer standing where you began. Your thinking has changed. Your heart has become wiser. Your strength has become quieter and more dependable. Walk forward with that strength. Carry the lessons, but leave the weight behind. Let your life become a testimony not through perfection, but through faithfulness. Let your peace speak. Let your compassion serve. Let your courage move one step at a time. You do not need to rush, prove, force, or compete. Move steadily, live honestly, and trust that the road will continue opening as you walk. The chapter ahead is not asking you to become someone else. It is inviting you to live fully as the person you have been shaped to become.